Hello everyone and welcome to this set of tutorials based in Adobe Photoshop, and in these tutorials you will be finding out how to draw basic images, basic shapes that you can use in great infographics. In front of me, as you can see, we have the ones we're going to be going through. We have the pie chart, the arrow, the right angle arrow, a man and a woman, some text and something a bit more special, combining all the things that we learned in the images before and a little bit more. So the first thing we need to do is in Photoshop we need to go to File, we need to go to New, and then we're going to create our, our artboard to work on. So in the preset there's a drop down menu. I'm going to go down to International Paper, so it's kind of A4. Click OK, and then there's our piece of paper. I like it to be horizontal, not portrait, or landscape I should say, instead of portrait. So I'm going to go to Image, Image Rotation, and let's just clockwise, 90-degree clockwise, turn it. There we go. And we have our lovely artboard, digital piece of paper ready to work on. Now, this being a starter tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to some of the functionality on Photoshop as well, which is going to be really important to you. Mostly in this tutorial, a few things. Your tools on this side are going to be really important. Not all of them, only a few, but we'll get over to that in a minute. We're also going to be looking over this side, this panel here, and in particular, layers. Okay, layers. The whole premise of Photoshop is kind of built on layers, so that's something that you're going to have to start kind of understanding, but it's not tricky, so that should be fine. And perhaps we're going to need history as well at some point if we make a few too many mistakes and need to go backwards a bit. Right, so if you can't find layers, by the way, you can check on your window tab here, down here, then you'll find layers in there. Click that and it'll appear for you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, as you can see, this is our background layer. This is what's selected at the minute and it's locked. We can unlock it, but let's just leave it as a piece of paper for now. I'm going to come right down to these little icons at the bottom here, and this one here is a new layer. I'm just going to add that. It's just a layer on top. You can't see it, there's nothing in it at the minute, but we're going to draw a pie chart and stick it in here. So to draw a pie chart, we're going to go over to our tools and we're going to go down to this square, this rectangle, in fact here. Okay, this is our vector shapes. Now, if I hold down with the left button on the mouse, you'll see that several different shapes will come up. I want the ellipse tool. I want this one here. So I'm going to select that. I'll get rid of that. Don't need that for a minute. And then that just turned my cursor into this little crosshair. And see, if I drag this now, I make a circle. See, like that. Now, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to delete that using Command Z. Okay, or Control Z, I think, if you're using a PC. There we go, get rid of that. Because as you can see, what I'm doing there is I'm drawing that, but these aren't right shape. See, they're not a perfect circle. But I can make a perfect circle. I can hold down the Shift key and drag, and then get myself a perfect circle. There we are. Now, what did I do there? You saw I went up to here, to this top here. I went to this little icon here. So if I go back to this, back up to this one here, it's just a selection icon. It selects the shape, or it selects the object that is on the layer. Now you see we were working in this layer, and you see it's now become ellipse 1 because that's our vector layer. So I can move that around by dragging it. There we go. So I don't like the colour of this to start with. I think it's black, it's a bit dull. Let's change the colour. Now, the way to change the colour is I have to go back to my vector shapes, click on that. Now I've clicked on that, this has appeared up here, this fill. So I'm going to click on the fill and it's going to give me loads of different colours. So I think this time let's have an orange. So an orange pie chart. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. That's great. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm now going to go back to the selection, click up there, so I can just have a little look at it. Looks good to me. Now what I want to do is create some kind of angle in there somewhere to represent whatever percentage we're trying to represent. So what I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to copy my circle. I'm going to go over to my layers. I'm going to select the circular layer, excuse me. I'm going to drag it down to that new layer, click, and that should, no, that's not done anything. Let's make sure we're not on the vector anymore. No, don't apply, thank you very much. Okay, we've got this like this. Let's try that again. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to pull it down. So just a grab, just to make sure you know what that is. I'm holding left on the mouse, and I'm keeping it there, and I'm just dragging, and I'm just take it down to where I selected new layer originally. If I let go now, I get a copy right above it, see? So, what am I going to do with that copy? Well, first of all, I am going to just have a little check, see it's there it is, okay, and I'm going to Command Z, so I'll go exactly back to where it was before. So now I have my second ellipse. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the colour of this. So I go back over here to select the vector image. I'm going to go up to fill, and I'm just going to change it by a small amount, I think. Yeah, that's cool. Just another orange. I find that colours, the same colour in different tones, generally make quite appealing images. They're not so contrasty as if you're putting red and blue together and things like that. So we've just got a dark orange and a light orange. Now what I want to do is I want to take away some of this orange. I want to cut into it, and I do that by creating a mask. Now there's lots of different ways of cutting out shapes in Photoshop, and lots of people have different ways of doing it. My favourite way is to use a mask, okay, and a mask is something we'll find down at the bottom here. It's this little icon here, that's a mask. But we're not going to select it yet. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to our toolbar again, and we're going to go to this icon here. Now you might see that icon if I hold down left. You might see the lasso tool. I think that's the natural one that you're going to see. We don't want the lasso tool though. We're going to hold down on the mouse on the left, and we're going to hit the polygonal lasso tool. I can't say that word, so I'm not going to try. What I want to do now is with the polygonal tool, if you just have a little look at how it works, I can click and make lots of different shapes out of it like that. There we go, that's lovely, but I don't want that. So I want to cut out the percentage from here. So I'm going to gauge where the middle is. So it's about there. That looks good to me. And then I'm going to draw up, and I'm going to use the shift key because that's going to make sure it's going to keep it as a straight line from the top there. Then I'm going to come around, let's say it's going to be something like, let's say 30%, something like that, just round to there. And then my line from here goes back to the middle like so, and I click. Notice with this tool, when I get close to the other corner, when I get to the other corner, I get a little circle appear next to the icon. That means it's going to complete my selection. There we go. Now I've got this dotted line that moves around it. That's telling me that that is the area of my layer that is selected. Now is the time to go over to the mask tool. I'm going to click on that, and you'll see what happens when I do. There. Everything else on my layer has been masked out except for the shape I've selected. And you might be wondering where this weird angle here went. Well, there was no shape there, so we can't see it. It's still there, but we can't see it. It's perfect. Now, I could have these the opposite way, in which case what I would do is I would just, whilst I'm selected this mask, see my icon is selected on this mask, if I hit it there it's different, but whilst it's selected on the mask, I can I can hold Command and press I, and it inverts, so it changes it. Now everything is selected except that part. So whatever you prefer, really. I think I prefer that, so I'm going to keep it like that. Now, when we're moving this about, we can make a mistake. If I go back to the move icon, if I think, oh great, now I've got my pie chart, I'm just going to move it to the side of the screen and I do this, uh-oh, look what happened, I only moved this bit. That's no good to me at all. Let's go back, that was Command Z to go back. What I need to do is I need to connect these two layers together so they're not going anywhere. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm simply going to hold the shift key, I'm going to click on the layer below so now both are highlighted, and if I come down to here, there's a little lock, little chain. If I click on that, now my two layers are inseparable. They're stuck together like glue. So if I go to the move icon again, perfect, look. Perfect symmetry, it's all moving at the same time, and I'm very happy. Now, there's something else I can do to make this easier, because we're going to be building more layers into this file. if I go down to my icons here, there's a filing icon. I'm going to click on that. It produces a little group up here. Okay, I'm going to take my two, so holding shift and selecting them both layers, and then I'm going to hold the left side of the mouse and drag them until I see a white line all the way around that group. And if I let go, now that's just moved over ever so slightly, but what that means is it's now all in this group. So there we go, as you can see, all in that group. And I'm going to double click on where it says group 1. I'm going to rename that pie chart. It's really important if you want to keep up with all your layers to label them correctly. I might even go back in. Here we go. Let's put, let's say this is the, what can we call it? Let's just call it the dark orange pie. That works. And then, say for this, light orange pie. Great. Okay, so we know which one is which. If I take on select one so I can't see it, I know exactly which ones they are. This is pretty straightforward stuff. It's just really easy to keep control of things that way. So there's our pie chart. Now, what I can also do is I can now shrink the size of this pie chart and blow it up however I like. To do that, there's two ways. I'll show you the long way first, then the short way. The long way is to go up to, once it's selected, once you've selected that layer or that group of layers, go up to Edit, go all the way down to Transform. In fact, this time actually we want to go just to Free Transform, select. That's just made this line around this darker. What this now means is that if I go to one of the corners or to the side, you get these little arrows appear. And if I hold down with the left side of my mouse and drag in, I get a smaller pie chart. I'll drag out, I get a larger pie chart. And look, it's free transform. So however I move it now, it does all sorts of weird and wacky, squishy and squashy things to it. I don't want any of that, so I'm going to Control Z, go back to where I wanted it to. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, I hold a corner, and then I'm going to get a nice, keep my ellipses as they are. There's my pie chart all done already. At this point, I'm going to hit save, because you never know, your computer might crash. You don't want that, so save as. Oh yes, apply transfer. Yes, once you do a transformation and you leave it, it will ask you to apply it or hit the enter button. So yes, apply please. Thank you. That's good. And once that's done, I'll just go to my desktop and I'll just call this infographic stuff for now. And as you can see, it's a PSD. That means it's a Photoshop document. We're just going to save it at that for now. Photoshop document. There we go. It'll ask us maximum compatibility. Yes, please. Click OK for those things, and that'll save. Great. We've got our pie chart.